So another thing that I want to talk about is Black Lives Matter. Okay. Philip has been very open about talking about how Black Lives Matter it's demeaning to him because he's a prominent Black man in America, and you're a young Black man in America, and obviously I'm not. So I've been told both I'm not allowed to speak because I'm not Black, I need to speak because I'm not Black, and silence is violence, and also if I speak up, then I'm also part of the problem. It's like,
yeah,
all from the same group of people. Black Lives Matter, so, and it's from friends of mine, it's from people that don't like me at all. I get it from all different people, and it's like, I truly believe everyone needs to be part of the conversation because everyone's the same. Skin color is ridiculous, and that's something Philip's been saying. And I just want to hear what you're a young man. How do you feel about it? What is your opinion on Black Lives Matter?
I don't need some cheap organization to tell me that my life matters. If I want my life to matter, I make something of it. I don't need you to go out there marching in the streets and burning buildings down and attacking police officers, pouring water on them or burning their cars down to tell me that my life matters. And the very idea of that is more demeaning than anything that any of these police officers or any of these other people that Black Lives Matter protests has ever done. Of course, there is definitely a problem out there, and I do believe that Black Lives Matter, but I also believe that all lives matter, and I don't believe that we need an organization to have all these ideas that we need to break the Black nuclear family, among other things. It's quite, the organization itself is quite antithetical to its mission, because it's saying Black Lives Matter, but then it wants to break the nuclear family, which would make these Black lives less good. I mean, within the platform, it literally says we want the Black mothers to parent in private. So we don't trust our Black fathers to raise our own children. We've seen a generation of Black children raised mostly without their fathers. I wonder who did that. Joe Biden and the Democrat Party, and LBJ with his Great Society Act. All these things that added up from the Democrats that ruined a lot of Black lives in the past. And now we have an organization like Black Lives Matter, which is trying to make all these different changes now and reinstitute all the changes they made before, so that the Black lives can say matter, but actually matter less and less, because we're making less and less of them. When we don't have fathers, we are able to achieve less because we aren't raised with the good foundation that a Black mother and a Black father, or a mother and a father, period, supply to a child. When you aren't able to parent your child the correct way, your child is simply not going to be able to do what it does. Look at me. I'm not trying to be a shining beacon example. I'm not trying to be egotistical here, but I was raised with two parents. If you're looking at me right now and you say, I want my kid to be just like that, then make sure you stay with whoever you make that kid with. That's the most important thing.
Denzel Washington said, if you take the father figure out of the home, the kids will seek a father figure elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's just human beings. We're two parents. They teach two different types of things. Now, I'm not trying to get into the a man and a woman as parents, but two parents is the key. Like, there's been studies on this. It doesn't matter what kind of parents are. If there's two parents, there tends to be two different type of it's a love thing. It's you get a good balance of things, and of course, many people will argue like traditional families are better, but it doesn't matter. It's the nuclear family works. It works. Your kid has validation. They know they are worth love. They don't have to seek it elsewhere. That's why we see this massive generation of people that feel they need to go out and get love and feel vindicated elsewhere, or on the internet, or or feeling like they can't, and they have to hide themselves because they don't even believe that they can, that they're worthy of things. And then, of course, start blaming things for it, blaming others for that. And instead of looking at themselves or what society has basically built for them, which is not the best. I mean, they're trying to break down the nuclear family, and that is ridiculous. I agree. It's crazy.
I think in my point, I got a little bit too much about families, but it is very important that we recognize what Black Lives Matter is really doing to our culture. It is instilling this idea that if you're not out marching in the streets, or if you're not posting the Black squares on your Instagram, if you're a Black person, you simply aren't Black anymore. You aren't standing for those things. I've had so many people with the hashtag BLM in their bio. They may also have hashtag ACAB, which is they're tagging me on Instagram, tagging me on Twitter, and saying because I support Trump and I don't exactly follow the organization that is Black Lives Matter, that I'm, I'm all these terrible names, which I'm not going to say because I don't want your channel to be endangered. But they call me all these terrible slurs, these racial slurs, and they say I'm not black anymore. They say Joe Biden was right when I say you ain't black. And so I heard
not offending? Did that offend you when he said that?
No. Well, it was a little bit offensive because it's like, you ain't black. But I also know that that's exactly what we should be expecting from Joe Biden. When somebody says everything you expect them to say, believe it, believe them for what they are. Joe Biden has said so many things in the past. Meanwhile, in comparison to Trump, he makes Trump look like an angel. And I'm not saying Trump's an angel, but when you look at him in comparison to Biden, I can see the halo forming over his head already. But in all honesty, if you look at the things that Joe Biden has said and the things that Joe Biden has done in the past, I don't need anything more than that. You ain't black was only the cherry on top of the pounds and pounds of cake he has beneath the frosting. It was all his things that he's done is just like crazy. So you look at these Black Lives Matter people that are out in their bios saying all these terrible things to me. I believe them for what they are. They call themselves anti-racist. Well, look at Antifa. They're anti-fascist, and yet look at all the things they do. So to all the anti-racists out there, might have to follow the same logic on that one.
Boom. I see Black Lives Matter, and it's almost like they're trying to convince the world that white people see them as lesser. And it's like, that's not the way it is. You'll never, ever convince me that I think anyone's lesser than me. That's just not the case. I think everyone's equal, no matter what. Everyone's equal, period. So that statement, it's like they believe in their core that most people believe that it isn't real. Like there is some sort of superiority complex going around outside of the black race. And it's like, we're one race, the human race. So this superiority thing that you're trying to convince everyone, that's on you. You guys are, right. They're the ones that believe it. And it's like, I've never known supremacists my entire life. I've lived in New York, I lived in Chicago, I lived in Florida, I've lived in LA, I've lived all over the place. I lived in Europe for a while. I've lived in many different places. I've been a traveler, and I have yet to ever meet. Now people will of course argue, well, you're white, Adam, and you never had to deal with that. It's like, okay. And Go ahead. What?
My earliest racist experiences all started really after I got into politics. From those first 14 or so years of my life as a black person in America, I had experienced next to no racism. Of course, that may just be the bubble I live in, but I live in Georgia, which is, I'm sure, regarded by many people as one of the more racist states in our nation. I didn't experience anything like that. I had not experienced much racism, if any at all. But the second I got into politics and came out as a black Trump supporter, oh, you do not know the names. I was literally called the N-word with hard R by a white liberal before.
Wow. Seriously?
Yes. White liberals are some of the most racist people in America. Not even a joke. And I should maybe be more clear. It's not the Tim Pool kind of white liberals, but more like the I don't even have an example for them. Their names aren't worth repeating, but it's just like those
like
kinds of white liberals.
The extreme left liberals, the big L liberal, I guess that's the term they keep using. Jeez.
The big blue L liberal, that kind of liberal. No, those are the ones that are seriously out there. And the kinds of things they say to me just make me question who raised these people. And you look at their parents are generally sensible people, or more the hands-off parents, or either they're extremely hands-off or extremely hands-on. There's no in between if you raise a child that literally says those kinds of things. And then the one constant is that they all went to a very liberal college. They had the race studies, gender studies, all those classes that really just destroy your children's minds. They break down their minds, and then they piece them back together using that super glue with those liberal media ideas that seep into their brain after they rebuild it, reprogram your kid. They go out there, the NPC meme. It's just like that with the gray face, the piercings all over. That's the kind of thing. That is what happens when you send your kid off to a liberal Ivy League college. They come out and they start calling black people the N-word because they support the president. It's the saddest thing.
And not only he's actually doing really like amazing things for the minorities in this country. Like they keep calling him a racist, but he's literally fighting for the minorities in this country. He's doing a lot for all the different minority communities, you know, especially the Black community. You know, he's pumping money into colleges. He's helping start businesses, minority owned businesses, especially Black businesses. Like look into his policies. Like you said it yourself. You were a young teenager and you started looking into his policies and you could see it. That's it.
Yeah.
You open your eyes a little bit and you can see that he's actually a fairly decent president. No, he's a good president. Not even fairly decent. He's a solid president. He's
the best president in my lifetime. I'll tell you that much. I haven't lived nearly as long as many other people have, but at the very least, the best president of my lifetime. I was born in 2004, so that's Bush, Obama, better than all of us. It's only like three presidents, only three presidents to compare it with. No, it's funny that President Obama, who was the first Black president, and I use that loosely because I don't know, some people disagree on that. I'll give it to him, at least give him something. But the first Black president didn't do nearly as much as President Trump has done. And Trump only had like 3 or so years. And if you really start to add it up, 4 years now, he's done more for more for Black people and pretty much most of the races in this country than any other president. And he says this a lot of times. He's done more for Black people since Abraham Lincoln, or at the very least, more for Black people since Kennedy, or at least Kennedy's ideas, Kennedy's plans that he put into motion, or that were put into motion after his death. He's done more than any of those other presidents, especially Democrats. I think he's done more than any Democrat ever has even considered doing. And I use that very strongly. Democrats have never actually really done anything for Black people if they couldn't get anything out of it for themselves. You look at all the if you look at all the initiatives that they've been championing, at least before they stopped caring about Black people in terms of voting, because now they care about getting those illegal immigrants to vote. They care about emboldening the LGBT vote. They care about trying to take back suburban women. All those different things they're trying to work on now. But back when they used to care about the Black vote, back in the 20th century, the things that they would institute, like I said before, the Great Society Act, the emboldening and huge support of Planned Parenthood, all those different things, so that they could make that race smaller, so that those that wouldn't fall into the line wouldn't be born in the first place, and those that were born, they could use all those, the public schools, all the different things that they would do using the Great Society Act, taking your father out of the home, and then eventually throwing you in prison for some sort of drug crime that Kamala would then smoke behind your back after she laughed as you were driven off to the prison. Yeah, that's what she would do. Those kinds of things. You can see that they just did not care about Black people. And President Trump has made such a very big difference. He's done more in 47 months for Black people than Biden has done in 47 years. And if you look at Biden's past, oh Lord, he's in the negatives. Trump is, his score is at like 100. Joe Biden's score for Black people is like negative 2,000 at the very least, in terms of if you could count up all the good things he's done. It would be in the negatives. It would be in the negatives because Joe Biden has never truly done anything good for the people of my race. In fact, he's done so many bad things that it would be difficult to count it all.
Yep. And actually, it's even worse. It's 48 years as of, I think, October 11th or something. So it's, Biden, I'm talking to you. 48 years in government, and all you've done is make life worse for the minorities in this country. And not even minorities, everybody. He's basically, what we're finding out through these emails. And are you paying attention to this whole Hunter Biden email thing?
Oh yeah, of course. No, I'm plugged into it all. Every single, like I have something that alerts me every time a new Hunter Biden story comes out. I just read it like, I cannot believe it. No.
It's crazy. He's been denying it for months. No. And now everyone's like, hey, like, you've been denying it for months. What's the deal? And he's like, I knew you were going to ask me that. You're just the worst. And then hustles away from the cameras. It's like, Joe Biden, you got it. Do you know that they actually took off, they changed the last debate? They had foreign affairs as a whole segment.
Yes, I heard about that. They took it off after Hunter Biden, all these emails. No, they can't have that. It's these debates are not debates. They're just rallies for Biden with Trump there on the side. He's like, they treat Trump like he's a rowdy person in the crowd. Like, how Trump back in the 2015, 2016 campaign days, he did say, get him out of there. The security guards are the debate moderators. They're like, Mr. President, Mr. President, please calm down. And it's like, these aren't debates at this point. They really are not.
They're not, man. They're just lobbing up things to Biden. And he's just like, I can hit a slow hit. Yeah. And Trump's
Softball.
like, look, I don't care. Look, I'm going to slam it home. I'm going to be my bold person. I mean, I thought he won the first debate. Did you watch the first debate?
Oh yeah, no, I watched. I actually live reacted to it on my YouTube channel.
Oh, nice. Right on.
Yes.
Speaking of which, if you'd like to check out his YouTube channel and his Twitter account, I have them in the description below. You can click on his Twitter and his YouTube. You can go follow him.